Hey everyone, so you're wondering my thoughts on the whole Kanye West thing, and here are my thoughts. So I know enough about Kanye on the personal side of things to say that, well, this goes for all celebrities. The fact of the matter is that there is the world of media, there's what's portrayed. The glorious thing about media, and you're learning this, you are learning this. Remember my story about Kim Kardashian that I told in The Matrix, and I'll link it right here. Remember that story? Now, you wouldn't have known that world existed if I hadn't shared that with you. You wouldn't have known that the world of Hollywood actually goes in that pecking order. The world to you was, oh, okay, Kim Kardashian is everything. She's everything. Because that's what the media tells you. You know, we live in a glorious age for advertisers. They have basically advertising in every way, shape, and form. Every article is an ad. Every journalist is an ad. They are all selling something as an ad. Even Twitter, as we all know now, it's just an advertising agency. They keep actual customers and users down, and if any customers or users are actually threatening the bottom line of a company, then that one actually gets Twitter bombed and attacked. And it's just a war out there. And advertisers, the biggest fish wins. And that's just the way that it is. So when it comes to Kanye West, you have to understand that there's this glorious facade of the world that you see, and then there's reality. Paris Jackson, the daughter of Michael Jackson, she said this amazing thing. She had to go to all these rehab clinics, and she said, you can't expect yourself. The big thing that she learned was, she said, you can't live up to everybody's highlight reel. That's what you see. Like every day of the week, everything you see about Kanye is his highlight reel. We don't tweet something unless we think about it. Like my tweets, I have to think about them. I edit them. Like I decide what I'm going to say. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I speak faster and I tweet it out because that's just how I'm feeling that day. But most of the time, I think about what I'm going to say because I know that people are listening and I want to make sure I say that it right. I say what I mean. Does that make sense? I want to be sure that I'm saying what I mean. Now, not everyone does that, but a lot of celebrities don't handle their own Twitter handles. And I'm not saying that Kanye doesn't. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm saying at all. But my point is that there's what celebrities put out there, and then there's who celebrities are behind the scenes. And every single person, and you'll find this, if you listen to people who are like, I love Kylie, I love Kylie, I love Kylie, and then they meet Kylie in person, they're always shocked. They're always shocked. It's the same way with Olsen twins. I remember my older cousins. They would tell me about what it was like when they were little and they loved the Olsen twins. And then they met them and it was the exact same way it is with Kylie now. They were shocked. They were like, whoa, they were so different in person. So I think that you have to be careful when you say, when you feel sure of, I think all of us need to be careful about being sure that we know who a celebrity is. Every celebrity is a brand. Every celebrity is a brand. They are a brand. And as far as the whole Kanye West thing goes, what I want to point out is that it does highlight the fact that there is a script, and that if you go against that script, if you are a black man or a black woman, The DNC says that they are for you. They are for minorities. They say they are the only voice for minorities. But the truth is, they are the only voice for minorities if you're okay with segregation, if you're okay with all of their public policies. That's the truth. They are not for minorities unless you are a minority that agrees with their public policy. And that is no different. That is no different than the Democrats of the civil rights. Notice that the Democrats of the civil rights, they wanted segregation. The Democrats back in the civil rights era, they were the ones that fought school segregation. They sprayed the African American communities down over segregation. And then the DNC has taken all of those Supreme Court mandated, segregated, when we finally made them desegregated, that the Republicans fought for, that Martin Luther King fought for, and that blacks and whites did the Million Man March for, it was the Democrats who didn't want it. And lo and behold, once the internet came along and they got a hold of, they got that 1996 document and they got to totally command the script. So they are in charge of all mass media. They're in charge of all mass media. And they are in charge of all government. They have about 100 times more funding than the RNC. And lo and behold, like they saw that civil rights movement, they saw the outcomes of it, and you tell me, has it all been reversed? Oh, yes, I believe it all has. And if you dare go against any of it, they'll outcast you. So to me, the Kanye West thing, what I can tell you, my personal side of it, if you want to know my personal opinion is, don't ever think you know what he's thinking. Don't ever think you know. Don't ever think you know what a celebrity is thinking. Ever. Whenever you see someone who's like, oh yeah, I get to meet a celebrity, then they go and meet him, and afterwards they look like they've been hit with a truck, because it's never what they thought. When you come face to face with a human being, you meet a human being instead of a brand. And that's a very different, it's kind of like a crash back to earth, and then you find out what they're really like. And all the highlight reel comes away, and then all the stuff that's been hidden comes out. And that could be a very, very different thing. And that I'm like, never meet a celebrity. Never meet a celebrity. Like, never sit down and have dinner with a celebrity one-on-one. Just don't do it. Don't do it. I mean, there are certain celebrities that I would say, yes. Like, I like that show, Dinner for Five. I love that show, though it was like all men, of course. Right? The year 2000, can't imagine who was behind that funding. But there's this Dinner for Five where they sat and they talked about Hollywood things. And they talked about what was being actually phased out and what was being phased in. And that was like, they were actually much more relaxed. And they were talking about real things. That's as close as you will ever get to actually getting underneath the surface. Because they were still putting on a show, for sure. But it's the closest I've ever seen to even getting close. Ever even getting close to the reality of celebrities. Everything else, like those THR roundtables. Advertising, baby. It's all advertising. The benefit of all of this is that you are finding out the truth about the DNC and the left. Liberals fought for the civil rights movement. Liberals fought for desegregation. And they are finding out that the left doesn't stand for that. In reality, the left is almost like ultra-right. Like they are, I was going to say almost as bad as the KKK, but hey, turns out Democrats were the KKK. And they're covering up that history. And gee, doesn't that sound exactly like what happened right before mass murders and genocide took place? And we're not taking down any of the red flags. And I think that that's what's good about this situation, is that it is taking the red flag and waving it high. The question shouldn't be like, oh, where does Kanye West stand on all of this? The question should be, why are they coming down on Kanye West, who can do just about anything, and they will not. He can go after Taylor Swift, and they will take her down over him. But say that you like what a black woman says, and you're done in America? That's a communist nation. And we're living in a communist America. This is a state-run media. You need to watch China Uncensored and understand that we do not have a free press. We have a state-run media. And if you go outside of a very narrow script, you will be persecuted. We live in a nation of fear. That is exactly what communist China is, a nation of fear. We live in fear. And that is the press's fault. And that's the DNC's fault. And that's the money behind it. For heaven's sakes, they have the socialist movement thinking that they're the voice of the people when George Soros writes every word they say. He even pays for the t-shirts they wear, and they have no idea. It's really, really hard to watch Bernie Sanders. You see that video I posted the other day with Bernie Sanders supporters actually saying we need the voice of the people, man, and they're handing out flyers that George Soros printed out. So that's my opinion on the Kanye West thing, is that it highlights the fact that you can be a black woman in America and you can be a black man in America today, and you cannot say what you think without being persecuted. That's racism. The DNC is racist. And the faster you wake up to that, the faster we will return to a nation free of racism and become unified again. Spread the message. Love you guys. Bye.